How does the Fujifilm XT3 perform in available light? Let's find out. I ran a series of low-light tests using the Fujifilm's XT3. One of them using available light, as in no video lights, between blue hour and golden hour in the morning. And that's what we're going to be taking a look at in this video. You'll want to stick around to the end because I'm going to actually show what 6400 ISO looks like when you color correct and whether or not it is in fact usable. My second low light test was a radical test, as in extreme low light test. I only used 3 candles to light the entire scene, and I went through the entire range of ISO to determine at what point is it or is it not usable. And what I ended up with were some incredibly surprising results. So if you want to see that extreme low light video test, be sure to let me know. So let's get started and let's take a look at the scene. From the sky in the window, you can see that we are very much in blue hour, right before sunrise. I'm using all practical lights. Basically, the bar lights are on, and so is the lamp in that seating area right behind me. This first clip was shot at 640 ISO. We're starting with 640 ISO because that is the base ISO when shooting in F-Log. Also worth noting, white balance is set to auto. And what really surprised me is that while I am underexposed, the histogram shows that I'm not clipping any blacks, and I don't see any noise, and that's of course expected because of the low ISO. Now let's take a look at 1000 ISO, which is going to set my exposure at exactly 1 stop under. Again, according to the histogram, I am not crushing any blacks. You're also going to very quickly notice that the highlights caused by the lamp in the background are gone. The pink flowers that we could see through the window are beginning to show up. And in fact, we can see that they are pink. And noise again is a non-issue. Now 2000 ISO. Again, the highlights are gone. We're now able to see the shadows that the lights in the room are producing. We can also begin to distinguish the white balance difference between tungsten lights inside the house and actual daylight as the sun begins to rise. But pushing the ISO is not causing my skin tones to shift. And with this higher ISO, we can also begin to see the pattern in the granite. And again, noise is not an issue. So far, so good. So let's jump to 6400 ISO. So the first thing I had to do was turn off the lamp in the sitting area so that it wouldn't blow out my scene. There is a lot of detail everywhere. The silk curtains in the background are still showing detail, but they are very close to blowing out. And the shade of my eyes appears to be lighter than they are in real life because they are actually overexposed by 2/3 stops. And if you look closely at the plant that is camera right on the bottom side of the screen, you can actually make out details in the shadows that are caused by the leaves. And that same area is where you're going to begin to notice some noise. It's not crazy bad, but it's there. You're also going to notice some noise in the shadow areas on the wall directly behind me. So while the noise is definitely there, I would say that it is still very much manageable because the noise is not affecting the point of interest. And depending on the color grade and the stylized intent that may be applied in post, noise may actually not even be an issue. Now let's take a look at the same scene, but close-up shots so that we can actually see what and how the point of interest is affected. These shots are shot at 55 millimeters. We'll start with 640 ISO. This shot is underexposed by 2 full stops. And what's interesting is that at 2 stops under, I can still see texture in my skin, which to me is kind of impressive. And very similar to the wide shot, noise is not a factor. At 800 ISO, I'm still underexposed by 2 stops, but my skin is starting to show more detail and more color depth. At 1000 ISO, I am 1 stop underexposed, and to my eye, this actually looks really good. And again, noise is not an issue. And what I mean about the skin looking good, I mean it doesn't look plasticky or artificial. One other thing that I noticed is that at 1000 ISO, I can actually begin to see texture in my sweater. At 1250 ISO, again, the whole image improves, and now I actually am not in danger of crushing any of the blacks. And on my 5K display, I am not able to see any noise unless I punch into like 400%. But let's be real, whoever pushes into 400% on a project that they're intending to deliver to a client. The only time we actually see that is here on YouTube when someone is trying to make a point. Once we reach 1600 ISO, the noise begins to show up. There is definitely more detail and texture in the skin as well as on that black sweater. But talking about the sweater, that's also where you're going to begin to notice that noise. I still think this is totally usable because the noise is not showing up on skin or in my eyes. And then 2500 ISO. The noise is definitely visible. You can see the noise in the window at the tree line, definitely there, and you can also see it on my sweater. But what you can't see, because it's not there, is that there is still no noise on my skin or in my eyes. But there's no doubt, if you're shooting at 2500 ISO, you probably will want to clean up some of that noise. Let's jump to 6400 ISO. The image has noise, but again, not on my face. My eyes also don't have any noise, and my eyes are overexposed by one full stop. And like the wide shot, once you apply your color grade and the stylized look to your film or your project, all the issues go away, even though I was shooting at 6400 ISO. Would I push my camera to 6400 ISO? Probably not. But if I had to, I would simply flip over to F-Log, and I know with confidence that I could walk away with usable takes. Now, these are usable takes that I captured in camera. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to let me know, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch the rest of the videos in this series. Until next time, I'm Carlos with Media IQ, helping you compete in today's web economy. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Take care.